Hello everyone, I'm Esther Vida and welcome to Hometown Talents and Treasures. On this episode we have author of Firewalk, Transcending the Fear, Awakening to Love, Pat Bateson, incredibly inspirational woman who used to be an oncology nurse. You're also a Reiki master, certified in basic aromatherapy, mother, grandmother, also breast cancer survivor. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you, Esther. It's a pleasure to be here.
Why did you write this book?
I wrote this book because it's part of my journey. In retrospect, I realize that everything that I've done led me to this place in time, which is to inspire other people. I have met so many incredible people on my journey that have helped me to learn and to grow and be all that I came here to be. And I recognize that the circumstances that have led me to this place is now to give back and inspire other people, just like they've done with me. So that's pretty much what the premise of the book is about, to touch other people's hearts, as mine has been touched along the way.
I've read one review after another by people saying that after they read this book, they were really inspired and touched by your battles. So what would have been some of those big battles for you?
I think growing up, I grew up in a rather chaotic household, and my father was an alcoholic, and that had its challenges and situations. And then later on in life, it was just growing up as a teenager and adolescent. I did not have a lot of self-esteem, and I did not really like myself very much, never mind love. So growing up was challenging for me. I grew up in a beautiful community, but I did not really care about myself. And then later on in life, it grew into, I developed breast cancer when I was 44 years old. And that was a dark night of the soul, as people like to call it. It was a very challenging, difficult time for me, and I really had to go in and look deep at some of the things that I really wanted to look at and change to move through life.
What were some of those specific things that you changed?
The greatest thing was the gift of self-love. Being a wife, a mom, a nurse, a grandmother, I really recognized that I was not taking care of myself. I was the last on the totem pole and really not taking good care of me mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so the opportunity after I had the breast cancer was to really start to take care of myself and love myself. And people say, what does that mean? What is self-love? What does it mean to take care of yourself? And I really learned to take care of myself by looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I love you, Pat.
Every day.
Every day, and at first it didn't really mean anything, honestly. It didn't ring a bell with me because I didn't believe it, I didn't understand it, and I just kept with it. It's a practice that you start to do. I also started to develop a practice of gratitude, deep gratitude for my life and everything that had come before me to bring me to the place and time that I was at, because I do believe that the journey is about self-exploration and about learning lessons and blessings and your strengths and what you're here to do. I also practice the art of forgiveness, forgiving myself and others, letting others off the hook for what I believe to have caused me trauma in life, which now I look back as well, and I see that those were the tools that made me who I am today.
Does faith play any part in this?
Faith plays a huge role. I didn't develop that till later on in life either, and I think part of that was after my parents passed, which I talk about in my book. My dad passed when I was 44. My mom passed 5 weeks later.
At the same time you got breast cancer?
Yes.
So all in the same
very
time?
shortly, yes. Within a year, my dad passed. 5 weeks later, my mom passed. And then 10 months later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It shook me to the core. And what I realized as well was my faith. I grew up with a religious background, but I had lost it along the way. And so this gave me a very huge opportunity to bring in that faith, that belief in something bigger than me, because I was not able to handle my breast cancer journey on my own.
What was that aha moment for you, that snapping point? I understand about practice and that you do have to do this every day and say, I love you, or forgiveness. But when was that breaking point where you said, I just have to change things?
Yeah, I can remember exactly. It was October 13th of 2004. October 8th of 2004. It was my dad's birthday, and my dad had passed the previous year. And I was not at a very good place. I was physically, my body was ravaged and falling apart, and spiritually I was not in a very good place. And it was the day I said I put out an SOS and I asked for help. And that included a couple of people, because I always was taken care of, so I never really asked too many people for help. So I called 2 aunts who were beautiful women in my life after my mom had passed, and they kind of took me under their wings. And I called them and told them I wasn't doing well, which I never said that to anybody. I always had a facade about me that I was doing okay.
That was very brave of you.
It was very brave, but I needed to do it. And then I spoke to my dad. I speak to angels, and I believe I can connect with him. And I said, Dad, if there's anything you can do for me today, this is your birthday, I need a miracle. I need your help.
Wow.
And then I prayed, and I said, God, if that's what, and I choose to call God or Source, I said, I can't do this on my own anymore. I need your help. And again, it's in my book, what happened within the next 24 hours. My life took a complete different trajectory and was never the same again in the most beautiful, inspiring ways. I don't want to give it away.
Buy the book, right?
I don't want to give it away.
I want to ask you, some of the titles of the chapters are very cool. The Twisted Dance, Planting the Seeds, the Sacred, Finding True Love, but they're really catchy. How did you come up with these?
I think as I just went about each chapter, I kind of went in and thought about what it meant to me and what would be something that would be catchy and something that would draw somebody in. And Twisted Dance, for example, that's kind of how my life was. And it's like, I wanted something that it was twisted, and yet it was a dance. And Planting the Seeds was about, I needed to plant new seeds in order to change the way my life was moving towards. I needed to change my thinking, my beliefs, all those kind of things. So it was like, I love to garden. I don't know, it just, once I said yes to doing this, and it took me a while to say yes, it's like the universe just brought everything to me. And that, I think, included the words as well. And it just became very simple once I said yes.
How long did it take you to write this?
Probably from start to finish, 9 years.
Wow.
Yes, and it was very part-time at first because I was working at the time. And so 9 years, and I put it away, I'd take it out, I'd put it away, I'd send it out, I'd have it critiqued. And so it was several times in the process, and the third time I said either put it away or put it out there. And the message was clear, you need to put this out there to help other people, or help or inspire. I had been so inspired and touched by so many people along the way, it felt like it was time for me to do the same. My mission, part of my mission here in this life, is to serve humanity and make the world a better place. And that's what I want to do.
Are you writing another book?
Funny you should ask. There is one on the back burner. I don't feel ready to do it yet. This is just so new to me, and I'm having so much fun with it that this is what I'm focusing on right now. But
have you ever written before?
No. Not a book.
No.
Not a book. I was thinking that as well when I drove in here, because this is where I went to high school, and probably my favoriteest class I ever took was a creative writing class. And I didn't realize that at the time, but when I walked into that classroom, I felt like I could be me, I felt like I was free, and I felt like I could easily express myself. I didn't know that at the time that was going to be the beginning of me writing a book.
You said forgiveness. Who along the way have you had to take a big step and say, I need to forgive?
The biggest one I needed to forgive was myself, because I was great at critiquing myself, judging myself. And so the biggest one was myself, to forgiving myself and saying I did the best I could. And look where I am today. My mom and dad, thinking that they had done me wrong. And again, looking back, it's always in looking back, once you can look back and see that they were actually my greatest teachers, because they actually taught me that I needed to love myself. I couldn't expect others to do that. If I loved myself, then I would be an expression of love, and others would feel the same way about me. So my parents, I mean, amazingly so, that they were amazing people who taught me the practice of self-love.
What's your advice for women, men, girls, boys, anyone going through this internal struggle, whether they know it or not? What's your biggest advice?
The biggest advice I would say is to just start and take a step somewhere. People know when something's not working. You feel everything. You have an intuition, an inner gut, a guide, your connection to source. You know when something doesn't feel right for you, and it's almost like there's a stirring within you that says, I want to do different, I want to be different. So you start to listen to that. You listen to that and you take a step. Baby step, big step, just take a step, do something different. And once you start to do that, books, places, teachers, you know, just come in your path that just lead you on this new journey. So my best advice, though, that I have learned, I believe, is to really start to intuit and go within and find your answers, because that's where your goodness and grace and beauty lies, is within you.
It's all inside of you, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Okay, Pat Bateson. The book is Firewalk. Beautiful, very inspiring. Thank you for what you do. And thanks for watching this episode of Hometown Talents and Treasures. We'll see you next time.